Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello, hope everyone's doing fine today. I'm gonna try something different. Not really different, just new, I guess. Different, new, whatever. I'm gonna do a reaction to the audiobook for Kingdom of Fear by Hunter S. Thompson. Thompson is one of my all-time enjoyable writers. He's one of those writers that I can read his fiction and or his nonfiction just over and over and over. And I really enjoy it. So, with this being an election year, and I figured, why not? We'll also find out how copyright oriented the Thompson estate is. Hopefully they understand that this is being done out of fandom, out of respect for Mr. Thompson, Dr. Thompson. So let's do this and let's get underway.
This is Audible.
Recorded Books presents Kingdom of Fear, Loathsome Secrets of a Star-Crossed Child in the Final Days of the American Century.
Yeah, that's the full title. I would just be going Kingdom of Fear just simply because it's shorter to say. Not sure how I'm going to do it in the title, but I guess if you're watching this video, you've read the title, and I've figured out how I'm going to do it in the title.
By Hunter S. Thompson, narrated by Scott Sowers, and directed by Shane O'Connell. The author opens with the following lines by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with the holy dread. For he on honey dew hath fed, and drunk on the milk of paradise.
It's one thing about Thompson, he knew the classic and dramatic quotes to use to come across. Very, very articulate man, very, very good word crafter.
And now, Kingdom of Fear.
Memo from the sports desk. I was watching the Denver-Oakland football game on TV last night when it was interrupted by a breaking news bulletin from the FBI about unknown terrorists who were planning to destroy major targets all over the United States.
Oh yeah, this takes place, I think he wrote this early post 9/11. It was the last book that Thompson wrote, and before he basically unalived himself. Yeah, there's a lot of tie-ins to 9/11, a lot of tie-ins to Watergate, and all kinds of really neat stuff that Thompson experienced.
Perhaps within 24 hours. The FBI had learned this from trustworthy sources, the unseen voice explained. The American people were advised to be totally vigilant and ready to be evacuated at any moment. Any person who talks suspiciously or looks dangerous should be reported to your local police or law enforcement agencies immediately. We were into condition red.
Yeah, I remember that time. It was really, really interesting, really kind of phobic working in the penitentiary at the time with everything going on and being crazy.
"Shit, not again," cried my lawyer. "I have to fly to Boston tomorrow. What the fuck is going on in this country?" "Never ask that question," I warned her, "unless you already know the answer." "I do," she said. "We are fucked. Utterly fucked."
Oh yeah, Thompson doesn't pull any punches when his language and his thing, his descriptions of sex and drugs and all that good stuff. So yeah, the content warning at the beginning of this video is, yeah, that's very much.
The author's note, if it exists at all, is invariably the worst and lamest part of any book, my own included. That is because it is necessarily the last and most blind, dumb, desperate final touch that gets heaped into a book just before it goes to the printer. And the whole book, along with the 2 years of feverish work and anguish, is doomed to failure and ruin if the author won't produce the note in time for publication. Make no mistake about it. These 4 pointless pages of low-rent gibberish are by far the most important part of the book. They say nothing else matters.
Which is a very astute observation by Mr. Thompson. And that's another thing. He, in the middle of paragraphs, sentences, words, he will change the subject or the entire chain of thought.
And so, with that baleful wisdom in my mind, let us get on with the wretched task of lashing this author's note together for good or ill. I'm not really in much of a mood to deal with it, no more than I am eager to take a course in how to write commercial advertising copy for my own good at this time. I savagely rejected that swill 40 years ago because I hated it, and I hated the people who tried to make me do it. But so what, eh? We are somehow back to square one. Is this a great country?
Yeah, Thompson is the shining example of the person that really actually loves his country a lot, but has a high degree of disdain for the government. Not just conservative or liberal, but everybody. He just has great disdain for anybody that carries the moniker of politician.
Or what? The safe answer to that question is yes, and thank you for asking. Any other answer will get your name on the waiting list for accommodations at Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, that was kind of a panicky time in our country's history. And reliving it this way is kind of cathartic because it reminds you of what was and what could be again.
How's that for a great country, dude? It's all yours now, and good luck in jail. Cuba is a beautiful island, perhaps the most beautiful I've ever seen. They don't call it the Pearl of the Antilles for nothing. The white sand beaches are spectacular, and every soft Caribbean breeze that you feel in the midnight air will speak to you of love and joy and atavistic romance.
Yeah, like I said in this Arthur's note, we get his use of words, his word craft, and how he'll take something, then turn 90 degrees, halfway through it, or hell, 180 degrees sometimes. So yeah, it's just awesome. Just the way his mind worked.
Indeed, the future looks good for Cuba, especially with the dollar economy that will come when the entire island is converted to a spacious concentration camp for the USA, which is already happening. Little did President Theodore Roosevelt know, when he effectively annexed Cuba in 1906, that he had seized for his country what would later become the largest and most permanent prison colony in the history of the world.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of people over the years been at Guantanamo that have never had a trial.
Good old Teddy. Everything he touched was doomed to be beautiful. the man could do no wrong. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Raiders were whipping the shit out of the heavily favored Broncos, who were wallowing in their own condition red. Their top-ranked defense had gone all to pieces, and now they were being humiliated. "George Bush is far greater than Roosevelt," said my lawyer. "I wish we could be with him now." "You fool," I snorted. "If Teddy Roosevelt were alive today, he would be so ashamed of this country that he would slit his own wrists."
Yeah, Hunter gonna put it out there the way it is.
"So what? I still have to get to Boston tomorrow," she muttered. "Will any planes be flying?" Just then the football game was interrupted again, this time by a paid commercial about the terrors of smoking marijuana.
Now, those of you who have never embraced Hunter S. Thompson, the man did a lot of drugs. He's been dead for a little almost 2 decades now, and he's probably still doing drugs. So Thompson was a fan.
"Jesus Christ," she said. "Now they say that if I smoke this joint, I'll be guilty of murdering a federal judge. Hell, that's a capital crime, the death penalty." "You're right," I replied. "And if you even offer the filthy little thing to me, I will be guilty under the law of conspiring to murder a federal judge." "Well, I guess we will have to stop smoking this stuff," she said mournfully, as she handed the joint to me. "What else can I smoke to relax after a losing day in court?" "Nothing," I said, "especially not Xanax. The governor of Florida just sentenced his own daughter to jail for trying to buy Xanax." And so much for drug talk, eh? Even talking about drugs can get you locked up these days.
And if depending on how the election goes in November, we may be back to that point.
The times have changed drastically, but not for the better. I like this book, and I especially like the title, which pretty well sums up the foul nature of life in the USA in these first few bloody years of the post-American century. Only a fool or a whore would call it anything else.
And I have to agree with him wholeheartedly.
It would be easy to say that we owe it all to the Bush family from Texas, but that would be too simplistic. They are only errand boys for the vengeful, bloodthirsty cartel of raving Jesus freaks and super-rich moneymongers who have ruled this country for at least the last 20 years, and arguably for the past 200.
And he has a very, very valid point there.
They take orders well, and they don't ask too many questions. The real power in America is held by a fast-emerging new oligarchy of pimps and preachers who see no need for democracy or fairness or even trees, except maybe the ones in their own yards.
And that if you think about how certain politicians view drilling for oil, putting pipelines through, I don't know, sacred burial grounds of Native Americans, that makes a lot of sense.
And they don't mind admitting it. They worship money and power and death. Their ideal solution to all the nation's problems would be another 100-year war. Coming of age and...
that's the reason why we've had continual wars. Pretty much all of my life there's been war somewhere. And the U.S. is behind it somehow.
A fascist police state will not be a barrel of fun for anybody, much less for people like me, who are not inclined to suffer Nazis gladly and feel only contempt for the cowardly flag suckers who would gladly give up their outdated freedom to live for the mess of pottage they have been conned into believing will be freedom from fear.
Yeah, and that goes for both political people that are loyalists to both parties. I would say that just Or even as far as libertarians have gotten a little fascist here lately. The libertarians, the Republicans, Democrats, have all gotten this kind of fascist Nazi lean to them.
Ho, ho, ho! Let's not get carried away here. Freedom was yesterday in this country. Its value has been discounted. The only freedom we truly crave today is freedom from dumbness.
And yes, I raised my hand up to that one.
Nothing else matters. My life has been the polar opposite of safe, but I am proud of it, and so is my son, and that is good enough for me. I would do it all over again without changing the beat, although I have never recommended it to others. That would be cruel and irresponsible and wrong, I think, and I am none of those things. Oops. That's it, folks. We are out of time. Sorry. Mahalo.
Okay, I think this would be a good place to wrap up this video. Hopefully we're not going to get a bunch of kickback on copyright issues. Hopefully. I don't know. I think I'm within the parameters of fair use on this, but I'll find out. And if you're watching this video, cool. Until next time, be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?